Hello, my name is Gert Læssøe, as Carsten said. I'm actually not from the Aarhus University, but I'm a computer scientist, and I graduated there, and I have been studying cryptography, so that's my background. So my background is not doctor of medicine or something like that. I don't know that much about healthcare, but I have kids, and I would like them to grow up in a being mentally well and resilient. But this Alexandra Institute, it's fair enough that we sometimes are confused with the university because we share buildings with them and do a lot of collaboration with them. But we are a research and technology organization, private non-profit organization, and then we focus on applied IT research in security and privacy, data science, ICT in healthcare, and a lot of other stuff. I come from this security and privacy, so that's my focus. And now we're talking about big data, and everybody is talking about big data these years. And it's been said that data is the new oil, and I think it's right. Data will change everything. It will change the society as we know it. It will change our research. And it has a lot of very exciting potential, and we have heard about this today. You people might get more new insight in health or in mental health in kids. You might come up with new cures for diseases, and there's a huge potential for the society. Maybe we can spend less money and get more if we know about all these data. But there are two sides of this coin. There are also challenges. And data is a toxic asset. It's not my my words. It's American security expert Bruce Schneier who called data a toxic asset. And it is because sometimes it leaks. And when it leaks, it's not very good, just like oil. And last year, over 100 million health data records were leaked. And most of these were leaked by somebody hacking in and grabbing these data. So the criminals you talked about before, Lars. And that's true. It is one of the only crimes which are rising at the moment. It's IT-related crimes. So it is something we need to have in mind. Also last year there was this very spectacular hacking of this dating site for married people. So I brought it here because it is actually one of the first times that hacking a website has cost human lives. Because somebody was so embarrassed that their data was in this leakage that they committed suicide. So, and as a computer scientist, I'm not so used to people making suicide, so it's new in my business. You might know about this from your professional, but not from me. So, to protect all this data, it's not a new thing. One of the ways to do that could be to anonymize this data. And it's not an easy task. There's been a lot of examples of anonymized data, which then got de-anonymized. One of the and there's different reasons for that. One of them is that there's not one data set in the world. So when you release a data set which are anonymized, then it might be linked to another data set, which was what happened for Netflix. They released some data about which movies their customers they liked because they would like somebody to give them a better suggestion algorithm. And then somebody linked that released anonymized data to another movie database, this IMDb database, and then they could see, okay, so a lot of these people in this Netflix database, which were they actually? And which other movies did they like on Netflix that they didn't want to like publicly in the Internet Movie Database? So that was kind of a problem with privacy.
No suicides.
No suicides there, at least not what I. Yes. Then there was the governor of Massachusetts. His health records were released at some point and they were released by combining two public data sets. So there was this group insurance commission. They had an anonymized database, and then there was public voter registration records. And by combining these, you could find out some information about the governor's health. And then there's recent work which is called Unique in the Crowd, where some researchers they actually they do some research on how few location data do you actually need to point out an individual, and it's surprisingly few. So that's some of the examples. So the problem with anonymizing data is that there might be all the databases, and there are smart people out there. So even if you cannot solve this yourself, then there might be smarter people. And there's data analytics also, which can help with this problem. So now my time is running out, but I'll just point out two examples of tools from the cryptography research, which can actually help in some of these problems. First, the first thing is actually not from cryptography. It's just this concept of privacy by design, which I brought here because it's not a new thing to discuss this about privacy and personal data and how we should handle it. This is some general guidelines from '95, so it's old stuff, but it's actually been taken up in this new EU regulation. Then there's these two tools: secure multi-party computation, which is actually computation on encrypted data, and a concept called differential privacy, which gives some very high privacy guarantees. So multi-party computation, it's actually if two or more entities, they hold some data and they would like to do a computation on these data. The original problem was stated as two millionaires. They wanted to know which was the richest, but they don't want to tell each other how much money they had. So instead they do an encryption of this input or this data they have, and then they send this encrypted data to each other, and then they do a computation on the encrypted data. So they do not reveal the intermediate results, but they can decrypt the result of the computation, which is very interesting because it gives us some very nice security models which we can do stuff. And it doesn't, I mean, that was 30 years ago. We could do that with 2 millionaires. Now we can do it with a lot more data. And we are currently involved in a project called Big Data by Security, where we do some use cases using this. I think I don't have that much time, right? No. So I can talk about these use cases afterwards if somebody wants to hear. I would rather talk a bit about this differential privacy, which is a concept also from cryptography, where you apply some of the tools and proof techniques we have from cryptography on this concept of anonymizing data and database queries. So like Lars talked about not giving the data set, but giving access to the data. If you use this technique, you can actually get very strong guarantees, and sometimes you might get around the problem with the consent stuff. Because what you actually do is you make these replies to the queries a bit randomized, so you won't get a result which is completely true, but nearly true. So if you ask how many people with body mass over something have knee problems, you won't get the exact number, but I don't think it's so important. You will get a number which are nearly the exact number. So actually, you can prove that you cannot tell whether there was one or more individual in this data set. So you don't reveal any individual data, you just reveal the trends of this data. And of course, you should still get some relevant replies. And then this is, in this big data everybody is talking about, this is actually the good technique. Because the more data you have, the less or the more accurate you can get your replies. So that's actually a good thing about this, if we talk about big data. That was what I had. So data is changing everything right now. Anonymization. It can be harder than one think. And there are some exciting new tools from the cryptographic community. And it's actually this about big data and privacy is a very active research field right now. So more will happen in this field.